Welcome to the Coquitlam Whiskey Barrel Podcast with your hosts, Uncle Corey and Uncle Dono.
Recording off some bullshit.
He left his Stanley Cup back on the ice in 1980.
It's embarrassing.
Let's give Corey a round of applause like you were the fucking service staff at a wedding.
Who shot ya? Separate the weak from the obsolete.
Turn that up. Is that as loud as it goes on your phone?
Okay, so who's that guy?
That's the magic that is Eddie Van Halen, and that isn't just Panama. Okay, what you guys can't see because this isn't a video podcast is that both Sayers and I, when he played Panama, we were both just having our shoulders moving back and forth, just like your shitty white guy shoulders were doing the same thing. Like if we had long hair, we'd Panama, bow, 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 you know, like we're drinking 7-Ups. We're in some fucking 88 Mustang drop top and Panama. You know, we got the the wrist warmers on. We're wearing ridiculous clothes, and then I hit you with the Eruption. That is why he's a genius. Eruption is, without a doubt, the single greatest guitar solo individual song of all time. Fight me.
I've literally never listened to Van Halen, so I don't know. But you can go for it and just let
Well,
me
you know who Eddie Van Halen is.
I've heard of the name, yeah.
But you know who... What do you mean you've heard of the name? You dialed up Panama.
That's the only song I know.
Did you just... Okay.
And I couldn't tell you that Van Halen sang it. I just know Panama. So when you look up Van Halen, the first song that comes up is Panama.
So you were trying to be topical.
And I go, oh, I know Panama. Panama! Super bad. It's a super bad song.
I don't... You keep giving me super bad references.
It's because it's a great film.
But I don't...
Film. Not a movie, not a show. Film.
Okay, either way. So Van Halen is a group that was created by two brothers, the Van Halen brothers.
What are the chances that they end up in a band called Van Halen?
Well, they started the band, and that's why they've had multiple different singers. Started with David Lee Roth, then it went to Sammy Hagar, and then David Lee Roth had his own solo career. You've known from the very...
He likes the menorah, I hear, according to Adam Sandler.
David Lee Roth?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He might be of
so
the
did
Jewish...
James Palm, Kirk Douglas, and the late Dinah Shore.
Okay, yeah, he might be of the Jewish faith. I don't know. I don't actually know that. But, yeah.
Here Comes Hanukkah, one of the greatest songs of all time.
Okay.
Panama, get out of here. Adam Sandler on the acoustics.
It's fucking...
David Lee Roth lights the menorah.
I could get you.
So do James Caan, Kirk Douglas, and the late Dinah Shore.
Okay, I have a guitar in the other room.
Yeah.
By this time next week, you could play that song front to back. You know what you couldn't do for $100,000 and 2 years? Play Eruption. Easy.
Again, I don't know what that is, but that's okay. We move on.
Well, if you're gonna
it's in the past. Van Halen is done. Nobody cares.
Let's
go.
No,
I also don't care. I really don't care for bands who name themselves after one person in the band.
Brothers.
Come up with a name.
They created the
you
band.
Lazy fucks. Come up with a name. How about that?
Do you know who created AC/DC?
Don't care.
Well, it's actually counterpoint to my point. It's Angus Young and his brother Malcolm. and they're the young brother, but they call themselves AC/DC. So Akadaka, alternate current, direct current. They were looking at a air conditioning machine, and they wondered why their plug said AC/DC, and that's it. More power.
You ever heard of Necrogoblicon? They have a goblin as their lead singer. That's funny. That's topical. That's a band name.
It's not topical. Eddie Van Halen just died. Rest in peace.
Well, then you need to
Shred in peace.
just come up with a band name.
He did. Van Halen.
That's not a good band name. What is he, Dutch?
I believe they are.
For sure. His name's Van something. Van anything is Dutch. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, that's a good way to go with it. I can't confirm or deny that.
It's for sure anything Van
Yeah, Northern European.
Dutch.
I think they grew up in America, though. I think they're an American band.
They're done. It's over. There's no more Panama.
I never listened to Panama and went, well, I mean, Eddie plays on any tracks, and it's just filthy. Okay, before you leave today, we are going to listen to the entire Eruption. We'll watch it live, and you tell me how that wizard fucking plays the guitar. Often people, they like Jimi Hendrix, for example. He's always
Who's that?
He was a guy.
What band was he in?
The Jimi Hendrix Experience.
See? Don't care for him. Come up with a name, you lazy piece of shit.
He's Jimi Hendrix.
Quit practicing the guitar and practice making up a good band name.
If you're going to rip Jimi Hendrix for anything, you should rip him that his best songs were written by Bob Dylan. And then he took Bob Dylan's shitty-ass songs, that's right, I said it, and he made them into his own. He took Bob Dylan's shitty folk guitar with his fucking passive-aggressive lyrics, and he just said, you know what? I'm going to fucking kill it. And anyways, people like Jimi Hendrix because of his uniqueness. They get all excited. He played left-handed, and he just smashed shit and lit it all on fire. He was on heroin, okay? He didn't know what the hell was going on, and he just figured out how to play guitar like nobody else could. And then Eddie Van Halen probably actually learned a lot from Jimi Hendrix because he was a lot younger than him. But either way, Eddie Van Halen, top 5 guitar players of all time, no question. I would ask the only other person whose opinion on this matter actually should be valued in this group that is actually probably currently listening right now. And while he thinks his name is Mike Phaneuf, who always seems to have like a real firm stance on the best guitar players of all time, and then he comes up with like Ben Harper, and I'm like, that guy just plays A minor back to E all day, and then throws in a little like that tut drum shit, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Brad, on the other hand, would probably side more with, if I could guess, Brad probably would say Van Halen is better than Hendrix. And the reason that I would say that is because Van Halen is, if you are not a highly skilled guitar player, next to impossible to recreate. Jimi Hendrix, I could give you a good week and a bottle of Jack and you could probably figure it out. Shots fired, Mike, prove me wrong. Anyways, so.
You ever see him live?
Who? Van Halen?
Yeah.
No, for classic bands,
Who's the best you've seen live then?
The best band I've ever seen live?
Who's the best guitar player then?
The best guitar player? Oh, I actually have that answer. And I don't want to say who it is.
Why?
Because it doesn't sound topical to say, oh, Jimi Hendrix, Van Halen, and then to say, okay, let me quantify. That's a good question. I have an answer, but I have to think about it. The most historic guitar player I've ever seen of all time is Keith Richards. I saw the Stones. I've seen Keith Richards play. He is a below average guitar player, and like, there's no question about that. The only guitar solo Keith Richards ever wrote is for Sympathy for the Devil, and it is like 3 chords and three notes, and it's garbage. And so he's the most historic I've ever seen. But the best guitar player that I've ever seen live is, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, is John Mayer. John Mayer is the best guitar player in the last 20 years. Easy, actually. There's nobody who he's would be a qualified studio musician. He went to like Berkeley, like just and studied music. He's a fucking wizard. His jazz guitar is very, very difficult to be good at, and he rocks the thumb on the bass string that allows him to access more strings than you normally do, and he detunes his shit. He is a wizard. John Mayer. So while everybody knows him as Your Body is a Wonderland, it's not that. His progression's sick. It's all right. That's a lot of.
All right, that's fine.
You tuned out on Your Body is a Wonderland, which is a very easy song to play. But you listen to Neon by John Mayer, and you figure that out, Mike.
That's fine. I saw Slash once. He was good.
Oh, now that okay.
Slash was good.
Slash,
Yeah.
but Slash is again. There's no Slash without Van Halen. Period.
Sure, that's fine. I'm just telling you, I've seen him. And actually, I really enjoyed that show.
Yeah,
they
Slash
put on a
is
good
awesome.
show. That was a couple years ago.
But that's what I'm saying. So they're a very similar style, but especially like early Guns N' Roses. But it's
Who's
not
the guy I'm thinking of? Is it Pete Morello?
Tom Morello
Tom Morello.
from Rage.
Yeah.
Tom Morello is a very unique style guitar player. He's like, so for that, he's good. Again, a lot of drop chords, but when you're playing guitar, you got your bass string. It's a low E, but if you detune it, if you drop it down a few steps, you can really just that. It's two fingers. You literally just go like that.
Right.
And that, like, if you think of like a Rage guitar solo with Tom Morello, it's like it's three chords and it's just heavy whammy bar. So he's not even in the same fucking
He's
conversation.
literally one of the only other names I could think of. That's why I just brought him up, but that's okay.
But he's not in the same, like, they're not in the same stratosphere.
I can't argue on the topic because I'm not knowledgeable in it.
But Mike would.
Mike can argue on any topic, but he's not knowledgeable in any of them.
Other than Little Wing, Mike doesn't know a Stevie Ray Vaughan song, and Mike will tell you that Stevie Ray Vaughan is the greatest guitar player of all time. And you know why he says that?
No.
I have no fucking idea either, because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
But he'll just say, "I'm sorry, but that's who it is," and I'll say, "No, stop talking, Mike." But whatever. Now Mike's right now going, "It's Stevie Ray Vaughan." I'll go, "Mike, you never listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan. Let's go back to Ben Harper. It's all you listen to. So stop it. I'm not happy about it. Stop talking about it. Stop speaking out of school." This isn't even shots at Mike. I just know he's listening. He's fired up, and he's going to do a lot of Google searches. He's going to look at like Google top 10 guitar players of all time, and Stevie Ray Vaughan is probably up there. He is a fantastic guitar player. I'm not saying he's not, but yeah, it's not. He's not even like, he's not better than Steve Vai. He's not better than Eric Clapton. He's not, like, none of them touch it. Jimmy Page, Hendrix is way better than fucking Steve Ray Vaughan. Van Halen's really good because he brought new techniques that kind of defined 80s metal, and especially with the finger tapping, because he does 4 fingers at the same time, which means there's no strumming. He just plays it all like that. So what you just heard there is he's not strumming. He's tapping all the way up and down the neck like that.
Great.
It's like I just told you he could play hockey, and then he just decided that he could pick up the puck with the back of his blade and fucking shoot over the back of his head.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
Lots
but like,
of guys do that.
no, but
I know what you're saying. I don't. It doesn't mean much to me because
Well, then
I
you-
don't know. I don't know enough about it. So I don't like to talk about it.
you're the one who started with Panama. You put on Panama. You have that queued up.
Yeah, because you wanted to lead with Van Halen, so I said, well, this is the only one that everybody knows, because 9 out of the 12 guys in this league don't even know what Van Halen means.
That's not true. Okay, it's a band name. It's the guy's last name.
Terrible name. And I base my band preference on name alone, and there's this a dog shit.
Well, okay, then who's the best band of all time?
Necro Goblicon. I don't know why you keep fighting this.
I don't know.
The guy's a goblin.
I don't even know if that's a real band. I can't.
Let's talk football, because I'm over this. Right?
Yeah, okay, fine.
We've had a big week. You're upset.
I'm not upset. I am upset.
Well,
You're upset too.
I was upset at the notion that there was some collusion.
What do you mean?
A certain manager was told by another manager about something.
Are you asking that question? Or are you hinting to something?
You intubated? No, what's the word for it?
Intubated?
You suggested that there was some sort of collusion going on.
Oh shit! I don't even know the word, but I know what the word you're trying to say is. It's not. I want to say animate. Fuck. What is it? I inferred. I did infer that collusion had been going on, but that's not the word you're.
No.
I know what word you're talking about. I want to say. Okay, what did you say?
Intubated. It's not that. Though.
It's not intubated. It's it is inferred. I inferred it, but that's not the word you're looking for.
No.
I did something with an implied.
Okay, it doesn't.
I implied.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I inferred. I implied.
This
I
is a
didn't
direct.
intubate.
This is just the direct quote. I'd like to point out that the commish.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. What do we?
Well, this
figurehead?
is what this is what we're talking about, because this is what's all in the rage. This is in the news.
I'd like to
This
point
is
out
the Whiskey Barrel Podcast
this is big
League
news. Yeah,
news.
We're at the tipping point here, and we need to decide which way of the fork of the road we're gonna go. Donovan says, "I'd like to point out that the commish offered another GM on the sneak tip to add any dropped players from Titans or Steelers to guarantee that they'd be back on his team."
Okay, so you want to know? You want me?
I want to know what you inferred. I want to know what you were referencing. I want to know who the GM was that the figurehead of this league gave some sneak tips to.
Okay, so what? Here's the problem. When you're a guy like myself, okay?
Yep.
I like to consider myself a bit of a vault. You can come to me and you can tell me some stuff that's going on, and I don't just blab. Moreover, if I do blab, I only blab to the people who should be in the know.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't reveal sources even if I blab.
Okay.
Especially so you're putting a little bit of you're putting me in a tough corner, because are you suggesting that?
Well, you put it out there, so now we need you to name names. Well, if this is happening, this isn't appropriate for the league.
Okay.
Do you agree that this is not?
You're right. If I brought it up, and then it should at least be defined what happened.
Yes, and if there's collusion, then there needs to be reprimanded.
Okay, I don't know that there was collusion. How about I tell you what I heard?
If the figurehead of the league is giving tips to another member of the league that not everybody knows about, that's collusion.
Okay, so
I want you to clear that up for me.
Okay, so how about I just say I'll tell the story without naming names, then you tell me who it may have been.
Okay.
Sorry, you don't guess. You just say, if it's necessary, who the person in question was.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay, so obviously last week there was the Steelers-Titans thing, right?
Yes.
We all brought it up. We had a little
back and forth discussion. We'll get to that.
Okay, but it's all this is where it all stems from.
Right. Okay.
So what had happened was, I'm just going about my business, doing my day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
Which right now is God only knows what I'm up to.
Who knows?
Nobody
does.
Nobody knows what I'm up to these days. So, but I got to keep myself busy. So the phones are on. The phones are open, as it were. So, So I get a phone call from I don't want to say a concerned manager. We'll just call everybody managers for
Okay.
this, okay? For the purposes of this.
Yeah.
So I get a phone call from a concerned manager.
Brad Friend.
It wasn't Brad Friend. I said the phones are open. So that might... Should I check?
You can check for sure. No,
Okay.
Brad Friend calls me for any commissioner questions because he knows who to come to get the real answer.
Okay. So, okay. So I get a call from a concerned manager.
Yeah.
Regarding the Titans Steelers thing.
Okay.
And he just goes, what do you think about what's going on here? And I said, well, it's shitty, the bye week and whatnot. And he goes, yeah. He goes, it is shitty, but, the waivers did run. And, you kind of try to prep for your bye week before the waivers. And I said, yeah, of course. And he goes, so I went to, how do you want to refer to Mike in this story?
The figurehead.
The figurehead. I want to call him the fall guy. The figurehead? Okay. Figurehead. We'll go with figurehead. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I'd like a better name for that. So while I'm telling the story,
A name that doesn't sound as nice.
No, yeah, like more of a...
Shithead?
No, a figurehead, but like a puppet.
He's not a puppet.
He's a puppeteer?
He's not a puppeteer because he doesn't control anything.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. He's a figurehead. So he's just like this. He's like the Wizard of Oz. He's just the thing, but he's really
We
just a
could
little
call
shitty.
him the Wizard of Oz.
He's just this little shitty guy who
He's-
doesn't actually have any powers.
Then let's call him the man behind the curtain.
Sure.
Okay, so this manager gives me a call, says, well, you know what? I was a little concerned about it because, I had to make some moves with some players, and I like my bench. Don't want to really have to be dropping guys. I understand that we have to drop guys when buys come. I say, of course, that's part of the game.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, he goes, it's not even, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just trying to ask, like, what do you think about it? He said, because when I talked to the little man behind the curtain,
Yeah.
it sounds better.
Sounds way better.
Yeah. So when I talked to the little man behind the curtain,
Yeah.
and I just brought my concerns to him, this manager says,
Mm-hmm.
he says, I totally understand that. This is the quote. As much of not verbatim, but like we'll just put as much quote as I can.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I'm doing things. I'm a busy guy.
Yeah.
Not everything's recorded, manipulated, and texted in. You know what I mean? Nobody gets in shit for things like that. So
You're not Sublime. You can't do everything yourself. You're only one man. And if you did it, it might be the wrong way. But that's okay. We'll just go from there.
Right. Anyways, so, from what I could gather, the story was this. It was, I have these concerns about the players, and the man behind the curtain says, hey, don't worry. Considering you're the only person whose texts I answer or listen to or actually respond to.
This is an exaggeration. I want direct quote. Or is
Oh, no, I'm just adding that part.
Okay, don't add.
Oh, okay,
'Cause we
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. So, and that kind of implies, right, I'll leave it.
Right.
So, you know what? I hear your concern.
Yep.
I think that that's a pretty valid concern.
Okay.
So, whoever you were going to drop to fill in for the buys, for the Titans Steelers buys,
Yeah.
go ahead, and I will make sure that the people that you drop go back on your team after the week is done.
Okay.
The manager in question, and I can just go by what I've been told.
Yeah.
He says, well, no, you can't just do that. I'm bringing this up because anybody who got kind of fucked because the waivers were ran, they should have the opportunity to do that too. But I'm not asking for anybody to be able to do that if we don't get some feedback, put it to a vote, do anything like that.
Right.
He's like, I'm actually insulted that you said you'd do that for me.
Right.
When it should be, if anybody kind of gets kind of hosed like I felt I did, then at least, well, if we're going to do that, then do it for everybody.
Everybody needs to be afforded the same opportunity.
Exactly.
Right.
It's standard. We all play by the same rules.
Yeah.
So I really want to commend that manager for making that decision.
Okay.
And then he said, I don't know if you want to talk about it on the pod. He goes, this guy's not really getting back to me. after I say it, can you put it to a vote? Can you at least get some conversation doing it? Because this is the first week we've run into it. It's probably not the last week we're going to run into it.
Of course.
Especially there was a lot of strings of, COVID last week. Derrick Henry, Cam Newton, a bunch of the water boys on the Titans staff.
Yep.
Derrick Henry's side piece, Melania Trump.
Yep.
Her man on the side, Donald. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Hold on. Amit Gajar.
You got it, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir. You're on the pod. How are you?
I'm great, man. How about yourself?
I can't complain. We were, it's me and Sayers here, and we were just kind of recapping a little bit of the drama that had been going on in our little group chat there. Like, you know what I mean? We were talking about the Titans Steelers and the waiver ad drops and how we felt about maybe a vote on if it's post waivers and then there's a COVID or a pre waivers. The whole point was. I think what it boiled down to is whatever the decision was, let's make the decision so that we can go with that later on.
Right, yeah. No, I hear you on it. I think the whole thing's just so difficult for anybody to really make a decision because no one really knows what the right decision is. It's just such a mess right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at where we're at, it's just such a crazy time, so it's hard to say, like, even if we decide to go one way, could end up blowing everybody in the face. So it's just, tough times for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
I agree. I vote might make sense, but it's hard to say. Some guys are going to be in a bit of a sticky situation, and some guys aren't. So it's a difficult situation for everybody. We're just hoping to get through at least season at this point, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I agree with that, and I was comfortable with any decision that got made. One of my biggest complaints of it for me is quite simply is that no decisions got put to a vote or anything. Like it's just that I agree with you. You're always very diplomatic in these situations. You're not a shit disturber like some people, myself included. But for me, it's just like I don't care if my opinion is voted down or voted for. It's just let's do something. Like I don't even care if we're calling the commissioner today. We're calling him the man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, as it were. Don't look at the little man behind the curtain because he's actually all fake bluster. You know what I mean?
Hey man, yeah, I can't really say anything to that, but it's a tough spot to be for anybody. I'll be diplomatic on that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But I think that we could all agree that a decision made, whether or not you're happy with it or not, is a decision made. Correct?
I agree with that. Yeah, I think. I think that's real. The tough part is it's like, okay, it just sort of happened. Like it was the first real. It was the first real occurrence. So I think everyone's waiting to kind of see. Well, it's kind of see what actually is gonna how much of a snowball effect is this gonna actually be? So
yeah,
it's tough. Like you make one decision, but then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose, and you're like, well, shit. Like that was. We should have waited at least to see what actually is gonna happen. Just like everybody's kind of waited a little while to be rational about the decisions that you make. It's a tough spot for everybody. It doesn't matter if it's in fantasy football, real life, business, whatever it is. It's just a tough situation all around.
Yeah, I agree with that. While you're just to finish that point a little bit, could I ask one, almost just a small counter question to that? Can I just ask one for you?
Yep, sure, absolutely.
So sometimes those tough decisions need to be made in life and business and fantasy football, as you said. But do you apply for the job to be the person who makes those decisions and then don't fucking make any.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's tough, man. I mean, yeah, that's a tough spot to be in for anybody. But yeah, you gotta be. I can't really speak too much to that because I can imagine that's a difficult position to be in for anybody. But at one point or another, decisions got to be made, and
yes.
You know. But at the same time, you know, maybe we just are trying to figure out what's exactly going on. So I don't know. I think again, I'm going to be pretty diplomatic on my approach, but. Like I said, it's unprecedented times, so it's difficult to say what the right decision is for anybody.
Yeah, I hear you, and you're right, and that's not just that's not even totally a fence-sitting opinion. That's more just like, yeah, if you have to make a decision, whether it's good or bad, it's tough to make that decision. But, you know, when like 6 or 7 of 12 people are just asking for a decision to kind of be made, I just. Yeah. You know, I get what you're saying. Like, there is no decision that was made. That's kind of my issue. But it's also, would I be just as mad if a decision was made that I wasn't happy with? I don't know. I think I'm just asking for results, right?
Yeah. At the same time, this group has a difficult time making general decisions in some circumstances or another. So you can't just say that it's on one guy to necessarily facilitate that, right? Everybody doesn't necessarily respond or doesn't get back to you know, questions or queries that are made. So it's a tough deal overall, right? Everybody's busy with their lives and things are going on, especially now everybody's got all sorts of shit going on. So yeah, again, it's tough spot to be in for anybody, any manager of any fantasy football team. And I mean, yeah, that's really where we're at. So, but it would be, I think things are going to escalate, and that's just me.
Okay. So, now, of course, your decision isn't final or anything, but can I ask your decision, your opinion? Are you aware of both sides of the argument here, or do you have an opinion of your own? Like, it's okay if it doesn't match. I just, like, did you have a firm opinion, or were you just kind of on the sidelines, didn't really affect your team or your play so much this week, so you're just like, well, luckily I'm not in the middle of this shitstorm, and just kind of walk away?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think the reality at the end of the day is that you're in this. So this is what my opinion of this whole situation is, of the generality of it is that, hey, you know what? If you were gonna have it, we got to deal with it. You have to learn to adapt.
Right.
My view is that there is at one point or another, you can't continue to rely on people to be able to help you through the situation. You got to kind of go ahead and say, okay, well, time to pull up my bootstraps. These are the cards I've been dealt. I got to fucking deal with it. And for me, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to have to deal with it. You know, with Kansas and Pittsburgh, 2 of my top guys, I was just like, well, fuck, I'll just deal with it. And it's the cards you've been dealt. So it's how do you make the best hand with the cards you've been dealt? Well, you play poker, you play any other game, any other season, you still have injuries, you still have situations that occur, but because we're in this situation of COVID where everybody thinks that there has to be a bone thrown for it because everybody's just reliant on someone to make some sort of decision that makes their life easier. I don't know, man. I'm one of the guys that I'm like, well, you know what? Deal with the situation. Have some adversity. Just handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, there is something to be said. Just be a man, do the right thing.
Right. And no one knows what necessarily the right thing is. You know, at the end of the day, you're just trying to make the best decision for your team or yourself or whoever it may be at the time with the cards you've been dealt. And I just think that there's a lot to be said about just not relying on other people to sort of make it easier on everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. It's almost like the argument could be made of, oh, this is really affecting me. I want it to go my way. Well, the only reason that you're saying that is because you're hoping that your life gets a little bit easier, but you don't have to be the one who necessarily did it because somebody else is doing that for you. Is that kind of what you're saying there?
Well, yeah, I just think that at one point or another, like, everybody's going to be affected by COVID and fantasy football in one way or another, whether it be, now or in a couple weeks from now. I just think that, everyone's going to get hooped one way or another. That's the reality. And maybe you don't, and maybe you got lucky, and that's just a little bit of life.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could have have guys tear their ACL in the first week, or you could have a healthy team throughout. You never know.
Well, that's exactly it. You could have 3 guys in a regular draft and go ahead and have your top 3 guys just get knocked out. And, what do? You're not going to go to someone and say, hey, like, how do we fix this? This is a shitty situation. Well, yeah, but, everybody's in the shitty situation. You just happen to have a couple players that are more involved or, essentially at the same aspect of having their ACLs torn. Well, fucking deal with it. Like, it's at the end of the day, it becomes more strategic, and you have to think a little bit more. And if you can win with COVID, you're probably going to do all right.
Yeah.
I like it, buddy. We appreciate the phone call for sure.
Yeah, man. Just wanted to say hello, and Donald gave me a shout the other day, so I thought I'd say, hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah. It's funny, because when you listen to the pod here, we played a little Van Halen just to get the show started.
Yep.
And I was talking about how Eddie Van Halen's arguably top 3 best guitar players of all time. Sometimes it's preference or top 5. Like, it's tough to say that he's not one of the greatest of all time.
He's definitely one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, depending on who you ask, that spot's different for everybody.
Yes, of course. Personally, mine is Jimmy Page, but that's a real preference thing as well.
Again, yeah, totally.
What did you say, Amit? Sorry?
I said absolutely. It's just up to the eye of the beholder on who thinks who's the best guitarist, right? Like, it's hard to say, like, what are you basing that decision on? Like, it's, again, you could say there's no real stats on guitar.
No, exactly.
Right? So
yeah, for sure.
It's the best running back ever. It's hard to say who the best guitarist is and how you look at it. So it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. But thanks, boys, for taking my call there, and appreciate it. Like I said, I just wanted to give a shout out my once a year podcast call.
You know what, man? Maybe one time we'll have you in headquarters, and we'll have you sitting down right between us here, and just being handsome, maybe saying a few words in the flesh.
Hey, why not? I'm in. I'll do that for sure.
All right, buddy. Hopefully we see you soon. Good chat.
All right, boys. Have a good one.
All right, cheers.
It's always good to hear from Amit, because I never know if he's actually playing or not.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh,
well,
like in fantasy?
He's made 0 moves this year. Hasn't made 1 waiver pickup. Hasn't done anything. Hasn't made a trade.
Has he not
spent any money? He's literally made 0 moves. So I don't even know if he changes his starting lineup. Like, does he alter his roster? I have no idea. So it's good to see that he's actually paying attention and involved. And he's a busy guy, so I don't blame him.
You know what?
He gets amongst it. He is involved in all the events.
Yeah. He brings what he needs to bring.
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he's bare minimum, but it's like when he needs to be involved, he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm involved.
Absolutely.
I think he's just one of those guys that it's like, oh, do you guys just want to dick around and talk about fantasy football? Maybe he's not going to free up time for that. But if it's something for fantasy football, like for the group to be a part of it, be involved, he's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like,
of course.
If he can do it, he's in.
Absolutely.
I just like him. I like him as a human being.
And, I mean, every league needs one.
A human being or an Amit?
An Amit.
What do you say?
Just
like
a really a really good guy.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It may mean an old wooden ship, according to Ron Burgundy. I'm not too sure.
What is?
We will move on. Diversity. Anyway, so back to what you were saying.
Well, we were talking about.
So you're talking about this manager anyway, trying to be afforded, and maybe we
so
should put something to it.
So that when I heard that, that's when I went on to the group chat.
Right.
And I just said, okay, look, I hadn't really thought about it. I did form the opinion it was after the waivers. I'm okay with however it came down.
Yeah.
It is, last week is what it is, right? My simple argument, and it's not that it's the be-all, end-all, it's just my...
You're allowed to have an argument and an opinion, and other people are allowed to have theirs, and we're allowed to decide on two choices, pick one, that's what we go with.
Yeah, and...
Some people are going to be not happy about it, some people are going to be happy about it, we move on.
It is what it is, and that's... I was just saying, the only thing that I thought... Because when it was moved to a bye, I was like, it's a fucking bye, it is what it is. That's where I first was... It was just the question of the waivers, because it's when buys are scheduled. I've said this before. I don't care when people are like, "Oh, I drafted my team because my..."
No one does that.
Like, fuck off. And if you did, and you're still thinking you're gonna have the same team in week 7 and 9 because your running backs are gonna be in separate, fuck right off. You're not playing the game correctly. But it's just the simple argument for me was, after waivers were run, then it was announced as a bye. Yes, everybody has a bye, totally get it. But you prep for your bye usually the week or two before your waivers run. Sometimes you get that sneaky defense when your defense is going to be, like, if you got like a top 3 defense and you go, okay, well, mine's on bye next week, but this team who's available is playing the Giants, so I might as well pick them up. Either way, it just, most buys, you get at bare minimum a week to prepare for it. And in this one, it wasn't. And that's it. That was my only argument. That was the only reason I re-looked at it and thought about it. I was just like, oh, well, yeah, because we can treat it as a buy, of course, but we weren't given the same time as a normal buy as prepped. And the only reason that I thought that should be reconsidered was because we had COVID slots. They were, if your player cannot play due to COVID. It wasn't testing positive for COVID.
I think it was.
It was.
If your player has COVID, they go in that slot.
It was not, because some people were on the COVID protocol. Armstead, for example, he didn't have COVID. He was on the COVID list, meaning he had been in contact, X, Y, and Z. It wasn't actually announced that he had it until after. That was the biggest player during the draft that was, and I'm sure he's still on your team, but...
I don't even think I can... I have to add him to drop... Like, I can't even...
It's fine. It's fine. But that was just it. It was like, well, we put these extra slots in because we don't have it, because of COVID, because we expected strange things to happen. That being said, the only thing that I think that if we had discussed that at the draft, like a little bit more in depth, it would have been, fuck the IR slots, just add 2 more bench slots. Just so that you could prep a little bit more for just for having backups, fill-ins, etc. And if we had 2 extra bench spots, I mean,
it wouldn't have gotten voted through. Guys don't want...
No, I know, but it's just,
right?
It's a COVID-affected thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, but it was just the simple fact. So I know what you want to take away from my comment. And the comment was that the man behind the the golden curtain, or just the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. Little man.
The little man with the giant head behind the curtain.
Yeah.
He had said to this manager, tell me who you will drop for those guys. I will make sure they'll be back on your team.
Right.
Now, if this manager didn't have any integrity, he would have said, hey, thanks, pal. You're the best. A little wink, a little gun. And then after it happened, because that's exactly what it would have done, because Mike doesn't like to do things... I'm sorry, the man behind the curtain doesn't like to do things in front of the curtain.
Right.
It's never above board.
No.
It's never blatant. It's never in the face of the viewing public,
right,
as it were. And it was just him. We were lucky because we were spared that catastrophe.
Yes.
But it's still, if you're so quick to say, I'll add players back for you, well, why not for everybody?
Right.
And then immediately, actually change your tune when given it point blank to which isn't necessarily the right or wrong argument. It's just weird. Privately, you do it for one person. Then when other people ask, you go, I actually don't really know if I agree with this. It's like indecisions, indecisiveness. It's just a lack of action, lack of leadership.
Yeah.
Like if the man behind the curtain was running to be the Wizard of Oz, I would love to know what his platform would be. What does he bring to the table? Because we've had years and years of this.
How can he run the Emerald City?
How could he? Like, why wouldn't he just give the Tin Man a heart? Because the Tin Man asked him on the sneak tip. The second the Tin Man asks for the heart in front of everybody, he's like, go fight that wicked fucking witch with your stupid axe, Tin Man, and then work it out. It's like, well, the reality is, he already offered him on the sly the heart. And it's not until everybody's watching that he says, grab your fucking straw-filled scarecrow and that cowardly fucking lion and that hot bitch you guys are walking around with. She's way too young, but she's wearing those ruby slippers and you creeps are still hanging out with her. And that's what he wants. He wants a show. I'm not even sure what it is he wants. But it's not to lead.
Well, that's we'll get to that point of the argument. So, hearing your side of the situation, the counterpoint from my end was you knew that the game was in jeopardy on Monday, so you had 36 plus hours to prepare for the game maybe not being played before waivers ran. It had come out Monday that there was multiple players and staff tested positive and that the game would be in question. They were hopeful they could push it to Monday or Tuesday, or they may have to push it to later in the season. So I liken that, and I know you don't like the argument, but I liken that to basically you only have one quarterback on your team, and he's got a hurt shoulder, and you don't know if he's going to play or not. So you prepare that he might not play. So in the same sense, we knew that this game may or may not happen, so you should prepare for it not to happen, or wait till you find out that he's out, and then go on. So if your quarterback who's got the hurt shoulder, they say on Friday he's now out, you can't go, well, he wasn't out before waivers, he's out now, so I need to be afforded some sort of consolation. No, that doesn't count. My second point is the reason that the COVID spots are there are to protect you from a negative impact on your team from something that's uncontrollable.
Right.
Now, being able to put a Pittsburgh player in the COVID spot is actually a benefit to your team, not a negative, in the sense that you are getting an extra game from them. Not usually every team has to deal with a bye. You wouldn't have to deal with the bye, is what I'm saying. You would get a full pull because you just get to put a guy in the COVID spot when he's on bye. Not everybody else gets to do that. So, what would a solution be? Well, maybe we look at in week 7, then you can't play any Pittsburgh or Tennessee players when they're playing each other. Because you get the free bye week, you're going to have to sit them at some point. So sit them now or sit them then. But at some point, every player has to miss a game.
But those players still miss a game.
But they get to go in your IR spot, so you get to replace them for free.
Okay, but hold on.
That's my argument. So
okay, but hold on. Just as a counter to that, right away.
Yeah.
If Hilaire's bye week is then that week, you still don't get him all 16 weeks. You get to replace him.
No, but I don't. But I'm not forced to not drop him. I'm not forced to make a decision. I don't get to pick up somebody for free because Hilaire's on a bye. I have to drop somebody to replace him.
But
you in this situation, you wouldn't have to drop a Pittsburgh player to replace them on their bye week. Yes, it sucks. It happened before, but we knew the game was in jeopardy.
I kind of see what you're saying there.
Now, my second point, and something that needs to be discussed, and we need to make a decision now, is that 2 Tennessee players tested positive this morning.
Yes.
Which now puts their game against Buffalo in doubt. Well, they've already had a game rescheduled to their bye week.
Right.
So what happens to the Tennessee-Buffalo game if it doesn't get played this week? Is it played in week 18? They're talking about adding an extra week onto the end of the season for games that need to get pushed that far.
Right.
Because if you have a COVID cancellation after your bye week, they can't rework that game into the schedule. unless you're going to play 2 games in 1 week. Well, that doesn't work for fantasy either.
Right.
So now we need to make a decision on what happens if you have to miss 2 weeks because of COVID, 3 weeks because of COVID.
Right.
What happens if a game is replayed after the fantasy playoffs are ending? Because we're not extending the fantasy season. Fantasy championship is awarded in week 16, full stop. It doesn't matter if the NFL season goes to week 18, 19. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
Well, there might only be 1-2 games in week 18.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So now your team is actually being affected by COVID because now your players are missing more than just their bye. They're missing an additional game.
Right.
So I believe in that situation you should be able to move those players into your out spot.
Okay.
Because you're at now a competitive disadvantage. Your players, not because they're injured, are not playing as many games as everybody else.
Right. I go back to you don't find a Derrick Henry on the waiver wire if he's not playing 1 week, and you got a little bit of leeway by being able to put Henry in your IR slot because the COVID. Mm-hmm. You at least, because it happened after waivers, it's a little bit more leeway with the flexibility of who you could add. That's just kind of the simple.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I see both points. I think both sides have valid. I think my other reason that I was pretty fired up about it is just this is the first week. We hadn't seen a team, like there was no precedent set for, one team has COVID, the other team is fine. Fuck it, they're both on buys now.
And then the man behind the curtain didn't want to make a decision or figure that out after it happened. So that's why we need to make a decision, because currently the Tennessee Buffalo game is in question and the Patriots Broncos game could be in question.
Right.
Patriots just had more players test positive today.
Right.
So if that trend continues, we can imagine that game may get pushed to their next bye.
Right.
And if that happens within the 16 weeks, I don't think anything should happen with those players. This is just their bye week now. Sorry, It's shitty. You found out after waivers run. There's guys you can pick up.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to deal with it.
It's
like finding out your guy doesn't play on Sunday morning. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, okay. So I will also say that I take a little bit of umbrage with the lack of decision making, the lack of clarity.
Yeah.
Because then the Patriots and the Chiefs game, same mumbles, same rumors that we had heard 4 days prior with the Steelers Titans.
No. Patriots Chiefs rumbling came after.
No.
Waivers.
No. I know. No.
They started after waivers.
No. I get it, but hold on. So to follow that, me saying, hey, maybe we could be able to move these guys to the IR slot.
Yeah.
It wasn't voted on. B, it wasn't voted down. B, it wasn't even just put to a vote, right? So my response to that was, okay, but I'm still looking at it, and I'm still going, oh shit, I might not even have a guy that I have that I'm gonna use in replacement of another guy, because the guy in question, he's playing for the Patriots, and if their game is pushed to a bye too, well, I'm gonna need to replace him now.
Right. I did the same thing. I dropped Darius Slayton for Brian Hill because I needed somebody in the other Monday night game in case Allaire didn't play.
Right. And I was
forced to drop Slayton.
Right. And I was looking at Burkhead just as a little bolstering for my flex position, and I was like, well, if he won't play this week, I don't want him for next week, but I do need somebody as an option for a flex. So I dropped Burkhead. Then the game's rescheduled for the Monday nighter. Okay, great. That works even better for me because I dropped him to replace, in my case, Devontae Adams, who was in my flex, who's playing the Monday nighter already. So I reach out to the commissioner.
You didn't talk to me. You never called me.
Right. Sorry, I reach out to the man behind the curtain.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You should have called me.
I know what I should have done.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Of course.
This whole league is hindsight right about now.
It is.
So for me it was, so I reach out, I go, hey, look, there was no vote. But there was a lot of pushback on the whole let's do it after waivers thing, and I got laughed at. Okay, great. I dropped Burkhead, who was gonna be the guy I'd slide into my flex, and luckily his game was actually pushed back to Monday. I have guys on the bye. I will drop a bye player just to pick Burkhead back up.
Right.
He was on waiver claim. And I said, hey, behind the curtain, can you just throw the player that I just dropped because of knowing you won't fucking do a single thing about this? Can you just put him back on my team? I'll drop a guy on bye. It won't even be another player. It won't even be the player I picked up. Just drop a guy and so that I can have him. And he said, well, why would I do that? And I said, well, we've been having this argument all week. Have you been paying attention? Obvious answer, no, I've been thumbing my asshole all week. Okay, fine. But why I can't, I dropped him because I thought he wasn't playing this week. Can I get him back on my team to play in the flex? Oh, I don't know, you know. And he just feigned ignorance, feigned like he hadn't made a decision, and it made me vomit in my mouth because I know that another manager had called him 2 days later with the same problem, and to that manager he said, hey man, yeah, whatever you want to do, I'll just make sure that those guys get back on your team.
Right.
So while I'm up front to him and going, hey, can I just pick up the guy I just dropped, drop a guy from my bye, and do this? So I type this out to him. I spell this out to him before the game. He calls me when?
After the game started.
Of course. Acts confused. Blah, 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 blah. Now, he's lucky he's had the best week of his life, and he's up by 50 on me.
Right.
So
it didn't really matter.
So which is, again, this is full circle about the corruption of the man behind the curtain. Because does he want my quarterback? Does he want me to be able to replace my quarterback who's on a bye week and I'm playing him this week? Conveniently, no. Does he want to allow me to have a player that I thought was going to be forced on a bye a day before the games now, playing by these rules of always be ready for the bye? Conveniently, no. Does he think that Rex Burkhead is going to get 60 points? Well, I hope not, or he's a moron. But it's okay, well, which way are we playing it? I'm preparing for every day to be a bye, and if I'm not supposed to do that, then we should have already been able to move the guys down. That's just it. And I would have been pissed off if somebody else was already promised in private, behind that curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just do it for you, man. No problem. It's just a long time. And, of course, it's happened. And it's not just that it happened against me. It just happened that the best quarterback on the bye for that week was my quarterback. And I just happened to be playing against Mike.
Right.
And there was replacement quarterbacks on the wire before the wire. And I wasn't saying go let me re-pick up who I would have picked up.
No.
It was just, can I not have to drop more people now to just add into this? So that was my,
Yeah, and you're entitled to that opinion, and it's frustrating to have to deal with, especially because there's no communication coming back. And again, when we asked for a decision to be made, it wasn't, and then this is where we stand. So the decision moving forward is quite simple, and something that we've discussed a little bit, but we're going to just put it out there, and this is going to be the final decision. If your game gets canceled due to COVID, or postponed, and falls within week 16, it's replayed before week 16, nothing happens. Your bye gets moved and your team plays during your bye week. It is what it is. You still get those players for 15 out of the 16 games, like everybody else.
Well, it has to.
That's what happened this week. So that's what's happening.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, unfortunately, because there was no thinking on the fly, it has to be that way.
Now, if your game gets canceled the second time and is being replayed after week 16, after the championship game, you'll be able to move 2 players from those games into your out spot.
Okay.
Now, if you have 3 players or 4 players, there's no asking for
more.
No,
of course not.
COVID spots.
No.
You can move 2 guys. If you can't physically do it because the app won't let you, just send me a text because I can do it with the manager's tools, and I'll just move the guys in for that week. That being said, whoever you pick up off of the waiver wire to replace those guys will go back to the waiver wire after the game.
What if I wanted to drop somebody else instead of those guys?
No.
So I would,
because that guy because they're just replacing your guy for that 1 week. They need to then go back on because you got them for free, right?
Well, technically, everybody had the chance to pick up those guys.
Of course. But they now you want to keep them because they had a big week. You don't get that advantage over everybody else.
Well,
of course, I would like to pick up the best guy after this week before he even had that game if I knew who it was. Everyone picks up
No.
the
So,
and it costs them money.
No. But when waivers are run,
Yeah.
and there's guys out there that are the hotness, it's if I go, okay, surprise buy, I'd like to pick up this guy. Could you move? I'm picking up this guy. Move this guy to the IR slot. I pick up that guy.
You haven't paid for him. He's $0.
But everybody else could have had the opportunity for him too. They didn't pick him up. The only way that makes sense is if they were still on claim.
But what I'm saying is you get a free look at the guy, which isn't fair. You get a free test. If everybody knew they could pick up D'Ernest Johnson last week for free, they would have done it.
But
And
if I would have...
But you would have had that free opportunity because you get an extra spot on your bench.
But if I picked up D'Ernest Johnson last week to go, Kareem Hunt's questionable, Nick Chubb is a full go, and I picked him up.
Yeah. But this is after waivers have run. You're getting a guy for free. So now all it happens is the same guy that you picked up goes back onto the waiver wire on Monday morning, and he can be picked up on waivers on Tuesday night. So everybody has the same.
But everybody had the chance to pick him up too.
But not everybody had the extra spots.
But
not everybody has the freedom. You've got freedom to pick up 2 extra guys. You don't get that luxury of now choosing between 8 guys who to drop instead of 6.
Oh, okay.
You just don't. That's just going to have to be how it is.
Okay.
It's the only fair way, because then now everybody has an equal chance if that guy blows up, and if he doesn't, it doesn't happen. But this is your 1 week replacement. It's only a 1 week replacement
because you're finding extra slots.
Exactly. What if a guy on your bench that was already on your bench tore his ACL? Oh, I just want to drop this guy. No, that's not fair because he got unlucky.
Okay, because the space is freed up because of the extra spots.
Exactly. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's not a debate. That's just a decision. Because if we debate this, we'll last for 3 weeks and everyone will be pissed off. So be happy about the decision. Be mad about it. But if a game gets replayed after week 16,
okay,
you get to put 2 of those guys onto the IR COVID spot.
Okay. The only glaring thing from that I will ask.
Yep.
So in my case this week, say I had Juju Smith-Schuster,
Connor and Ben.
Connor and Ben.
Yes.
Okay. I now put Connor and Ben into my IR.
Yes.
And I have, we'll say, AJ Green on my bench.
Yeah.
I see the guy that I want, and I go, okay, Connor and Ben are on my thing. I'm dropping AJ Green to pick up D'Ernest Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the transaction.
Then I can do that anyways. Is what your argument is.
Yeah, of course you can.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. That's the argument.
Yeah.
Because if I just do it that way, that's like I played like the buy happened and I was above everybody anyways.
100%.
But if I don't drop anybody to add that player, then that player goes back in.
If you slide Ben Roethlisberger and James Conner onto your bench and you pick up Fitzpatrick and Burkhead to replace them, Fitzpatrick and Burkhead go back to the IR after the week is over, and Ben and then
unless I drop. Oh right, in that case it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay, that's just the fairest way to do it.
So then, just to clarify, if
a game gets canceled,
yes,
or sorry,
so a guy on claim basically, that's where I ran into, because when I dropped Burkhead, he was back on claim, and that's what Mike said. Well, he's on claim, everybody can get him. I'm like, yeah, but when the game ends, the claims rerun.
Yes.
So he should be treated as a free player.
Yeah.
And in which case, well, he's now still going to be treated like a claim player. You just got him for the week.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fine.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
But you don't get the benefit of having a larger bench to choose who you want to continue.
Okay, so who? So
right now the biggest game.
No, I'm just asking. So you So should we like get a hold of? Should we get a hold of the Prime Minister to try to get a hold of the man behind the curtain?
No, I think we just go with what I've made the ruling, and we just go from there. And I can put it on the group chat, and we'll handle it that way.
Okay,
I think that's easy enough.
Okay.
The other thing that we've talked about and we've passed,
yeah,
is should a game be canceled?
Yeah.
At any point.
Right.
Say Sunday morning they go, you know what, this game isn't even going to happen this week.
Yeah.
And now it's too late. It's gone too late. Sunday at 10 o'clock's already happened. Whatever's gone on.
Yeah.
Before that happens, if you have a guy on your bench, this weekend, the Kansas City game was in jeopardy.
Yeah.
If you have a guy on your bench to replace that player,
Yeah.
you can let anybody know, hey, if all of a sudden the Kansas City game gets canceled, I want this guy on my bench to be slotted in. So Sunday
Right.
happens, you're going,
okay.
I've got Fitzpatrick on my bench, I've got Mahomes starting. The game's still in question, but I've
Yeah.
got Mahomes slotted in. If Fitzpatrick plays and then
Got it.
Mahomes gets canceled, I can't drop Fitzpatrick and
Yeah.
pick somebody else up. I'm scooped.
Oh, okay.
So
you get a little flexibility there.
you
can
have
go-
to declare that before the game starts. That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
so in the event this game gets canceled,
I would like this player to
it's
be
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's reasonable.
Not somebody off the waiver wire.
No, I get it.
Nothing like that. It has to be a player on your bench.
Yes.
So if you have a game in question, you can set up your bench with a backup quarterback, backup running back, backup tight end to slide into those spots.
That's great. Okay.
And it's really the only fair way to try to be a little bit preventative and not fuck somebody over come Monday morning when the Monday Nighter gets canceled.
Right.
And you had 4 guys going and you now have 40 points, but 60 sitting on your
Yeah.
bench. Of
And
guys you would have started if you knew the game was canceled.
yeah, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
even that way, it's a little bit of a benefit because you got fucked over. You can go, I would have put X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. As long as you declare that before the game happens, you're okay.
Okay, so it's yeah.
Before Ryan Fitzpatrick plays, I know the Kansas City game's in question. I would like Ryan Fitzpatrick to replace Mahomes if that game gets canceled.
Got it. Okay, so be preventative
Be
for
preventative, yeah.
and which I think is fair, and I think that call just needed to be made.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our leader, the man behind the curtain, former leader, he just doesn't have the he doesn't have the wherewithal.
Gall. Gumption.
Yeah, gumption. The just the sticking to his guns.
Yeah, or just make a decision. Don't be afraid that people don't agree. If you don't agree and you don't want to, you can leave.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome. You don't have to be in the league.
Yeah.
But we're not going to make a decision that's drastic and negatively. We're taking everybody's thoughts into consideration.
Yeah. And we shouldn't have had to, because this should have already been dealt with this week.
Of course. You were asking for results on Thursday, I believe. A
Yeah.
solution on Thursday.
Yeah.
So we had 3 days to figure it out.
Yeah.
And no decision was made.
Nothing.
And we've come to a decision in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right?
That's pretty good.
So we're going to have to save some stuff for next week's pod because we're already at an hour 6.
Fucking Christ.
You went ham on the guitar shit.
I didn't.
Any last thoughts? What do you got, buddy?
Well, I mean, just in general. Well, what I prepped. I teased, as it were.
Mm-hmm. We'll do that next week. We'll have to do it next week.
Well,
the top 24 and who's up and who's down. And
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, contender, pretender. We'll do that next week.
So, is there anything else more pressing? Is that what you're kind of?
Yeah. Nightingale, answer your trade calls, or leave. I don't know, or respond, or do something. Play fantasy football. Don't watch fantasy football go by you just because you're 0-4.
Well, why don't you just call a spade a spade? You keep trying. It sounds to me like you keep trying to trade with Nightingale.
Of course.
Okay, so what are you offering him? What is
everything under the sun, or just tell me what people cost, and we'll go from there. I don't need to get into one-on-one deals. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. We're full up here, pal. Good week. We made some decisions. Decisions were made. Listen to the pod. We'll take some callers next week if you got anything left.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize we were already running an hour. But yeah, we're already in an hour.
We'll catch you next week.
Yeah, I guess. All right, and here we go. Gone with a whimper, not a bang.